Hey guys, today we are going to go over, I guess this is the John Doe, a BUD/S candidate. We're going to get an example, right? These are pulled from a number of couple places as far as examples. Well, so this John Doe, they'll say this person's run is a 10:30, their swim is roughly a 9:30, their push-ups are at 65, pull-ups at 12, sit-ups at 63. You're seeing that the numbers are actually pretty decent, but just in a large scale, we'd like to get this down to somewhere now near an 8:30. Same with here. We'd like to get this one close to 100, this one close to 25:30, and this one close to 100, right? And that gives us some benchmarks that we know that if training gets the best stuff is, a lot of times it wasn't based on preparation. A lot of some other minutia going in there. So what we're going to do today, guys, what you're seeing here, generally speaking, I have an example here of a 12-day training block. We recycle typically our guys 10 to 12 and even sometimes 14 days, depending on what their top concerns are, right? This person's top concern hypothetically is we want to improve their run time, want to improve their swim time. We want to improve push-up, pull-ups, and sit-ups, which is a category of strength endurance, specifically muscular strength endurance, okay? So again, we talked, the first rule is, take your PST. The person is taking their PST. The next thing is we start establishing timelines and things like that. And that's kind of what we're doing, okay? So this is just an example. This is a common example, but this is not, this is a place for you guys to start working from and understanding how to start chopping this up a little bit, okay? So what I've done here is I've created a bit of a key, okay? And it'll see, I'm gonna start filling out using these numbers, right? And then body parts and things, I'm gonna start populating this. So my first rule is basically, I wanna make sure that I have an off day at least once every 6 days. So that's the first thing I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna populate my off day. Okay, for sure I've got one in there, and what I'm gonna go ahead and populate again another off day in my next week. Now these can shift certainly, but what we want to do is we want to reverse engineer. We want to reverse engineer first with our most important thing. The most important thing is that we're able to train hard and recover from it. So that's why we're putting our off days in there. The second thing we're going to do is look at my first priority, right? If I need to improve my run and I'm looking at these numbers, I see weak legs. We're at 63 reps. That is a weak hip flexor, right? The run time is at 10:30. So this is either a problem from aerobic or anaerobic standpoint. Right here, there's definitely an anaerobic problem that's going on that is saying this person right here is not managing ground force, right? And that is why their run time is bigger than just this. This is correlated to your run time as well, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure that the majority of the remaining, in this case, 10 days, I have 10 days now to fill out. But I'm not gonna do it one day at a time. I'm gonna go to my weaknesses first, and I'm gonna start making sure I'm populating the things that, in terms of improving my run time, which includes running, but also includes volume training, right? To get that strength endurance, okay? So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drop in my very first day, which is a legs day, okay? I'm gonna drop in, basically I'm gonna go into my legs, okay? I'm going legs, right? I'm gonna pull from here, essentially. And basically what I'm gonna do is I want volume, so I'm gonna add legs 1. Right, my first is legs 1. Legs 1. Okay, there's my first day, right? The second day, what I'm gonna do is, actually I'm gonna back up. What I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna first do is I'm gonna populate all my important days for legs, essentially, okay? Because if I need to improve my run, what I don't wanna do is create a whole bunch of training that bottlenecks it, and now that I have to take off days. So what I'm gonna start doing here is I'm gonna make sure one of my hard rules is I'm not gonna have legs day that's followed a run and followed a heavy ruck or back day, okay? I need some little bit of space there. So my second day, okay, I got swim time. My swim is my second most important thing here. So, and again, what I'm gonna do sometimes is I'm gonna create 2-a-days. And I'm gonna create 2-a-days by dropping in a line here. Now, do you have to do 2-a-days? No. The lines are gonna represent, if you're gonna do 2-a-days, these are the days that you're gonna double up with. So, swimming being my most important thing, or second most, I'm gonna put swim here. And what kind of swim? What kind of swim am I gonna do? A sprint, a technique, or a long swim? Well, this type of swim has to marry up with the energy systems that I'm putting in here, okay? So I'm going to be doing, right, essentially on this one, I don't really want to do a whole lot of long swimming. I kind of have some options here. I can do either a sprint or a technique day, okay? So essentially my example is going to be swim 1 on this day. And if I'm going to do a second training day, I'm going to do chest 1, okay? Same, it's going to be in line with the same issues here, okay? The same volume I'm getting here, I want volume here, right? So what the first stage for this person is going to be technically going to be hypertrophy, okay? Once they work through hypertrophy, that's why we're doing hypertrophy, because of strength, endurance, right? Once that phase of strength endurance begins its limitation based on a plateau, we're going to ship stimulus to chest, and that's a later thing, okay? So again, still, because my run time is the most important thing still, I need to focus on it. Well, running doesn't just constitute running for aerobic standpoint. I also want to do rucks, okay? So my day 3 here is going to be a ruck 2. Ruck 2, right? If I'm going to do it 2 days, don't have to, but I can drop 2 days in here, right? And I can do bis and tris this day. That's day 3, okay? Day 4, right, we're going to keep rotating. What you're seeing is what you're going to see from a hypertrophy program. You're going to see these in order: legs, chest, bis and tris, right? Then you're going to see a back day, right? The block conjugate is going to be in this order. And if you need to create space, there's the other videos we talked about. Need a day off, I'd create space and drop something else in there, okay? On my back day, right, instead of doing it 2 days, I'm going to make sure I'm going to take this afternoon off, but I'm going to focus on recovery. I'm going to go do something, go for a nice walk, focus on my hydration, focus on my breath work, something to say, hey, I worked really hard on part of my day, but part of my day is going to be focused on recovery. And like, again, that's one of the biggest problems about selection is people don't prioritize the recovery. They don't practice it in their training. And they don't practice, they're not able to prioritize it, okay? So once we've done our back, we have an off, right? We're going to go right into another ruck, okay? Because again, running is my priority. So running and rucking, depending on how we pair them up, right, are really, really going to be really, really good. So on my ruck day here, actually I'm going to back 1, ruck here, right, we don't want to do heavy and short. We're not there yet, right? We're trying to develop strength endurance, and heavy does not build strength endurance. Light and fast may not. So you kind of have some options here. I'm going to go with the ruck 2, which is moderate, which looks to be about probably, 30 minutes, 30 pounds, 40 minutes, 40 pounds, and that's you're not going to exceed that, okay? And then ruck 2, like I said, shoulders. Shoulders 1, right? Shoulders, we're going to pull from shoulders, and we're still working volume, hypertrophy. So we're still in that hypertrophy. Take a full day off. Don't do anything. And if you're like me and you can't sit still, maybe you'll kind of move around a little bit, go for a light walk, something like that. Okay, we're over here at number 7. Right, day 7, after a full off day, man, we want to get after it again, okay? We're back to legs. Legs 2 this time, right? We're going to do a little bit of strength. We might try to twist some stuff in there, right? We could stick with legs 1, right? That's really kind of where we're at. We can go to strength if we're pulling from time under tension strength program, right? But don't go into strength unless you've gone through your 8 to 12 week hypertrophy. Once you've gone through your hypertrophy, right, then we can start creating more of a conjunction. We can some days work hypertrophy and some days we can work strength. So there's no need to go to strength 2 here, legs 2 here, right? You can stay at legs 1 for 6 to 8 weeks, but this just gives you an option, right? Because when you're hypertrophy good, we can change our tension here. And here I'm also with legs. I'm going to do swim 2, okay? Technique. Anytime, guys, here's a big one. Anytime you're combining legs, a legs day with a swim, we want a technique day. We really want to focus on that technique day, okay? Because the nervous system's going to be a little bit pegged from working legs. What we want to do is if we're going to train with tired legs, we want to train within the bounds that we can accommodate the effort, not overtraining, right? So that's kind of a slippery slope, but when you're a competent swimmer and you're working on fins and turns and technique, that will fit nicely, okay? We're going to go here, chest, then 1, chest, 1. We're still in volume, guys. Keep working that volume, right? Okay? Day number 9, we have a run. Run 2, and we can do back 2. Okay, I know I'm kind of messing some stuff up here a little with my hand, but understand, right, again, to repeat, if there is a line here, okay, and you're like, man, I can't do 2-a-days, then just choose the priority of these based on your goal, right? If you're like, man, my run time, swim time, I focused, man, I'm busting my ass in the pool, I ain't got time for this, man, right? Maybe we do some PST kickers, we do some calisthenics on this chest one only, but again, if there's a 2-a-day marked, it's not a necessity. You're just trying to choose the one that has the priority based on your goals, okay? All right, day number 10, we're at bis and tris. Bis and tris, and again, if you want to pair it up, we got a swim 3, which is a long swim with bis and tris. We could put some fins on, we can swim for 60 minutes, right? We could do a 90-minute technique swim, nice and easy, right? And if we make sure that, again, if we see this line, that doesn't mean swim and go to the weight room. This means swim or work out your chest. You need to have a total break in between. You need to have food, you need to have water, you need to have snacks, and ideally, you're gonna have a nap, right? In a perfect world, you have a nap, okay? But if that's not the case, keep in mind what you're doing. It's the priority, and then after you build, that's why we have this 12 to 14-day conjugate. You're like, man, I can't cram all this in. Well, then this 6 comes to a 7, right? This goes to number 14, and we start spacing this out like we explained in the other videos, okay? So really what we're looking for is really trying to break down your programming so you can get the most work in that given time, all right? Because what you'll do is you're gonna go and you're gonna populate this. You're gonna work through it. You're gonna work through all 12 to 14 days and see how you respond. Because at the end of this, you'll have to look back at this and go, ooh, that went fine, that went fine, ooh, this was a little much today. So let me create some space. Let me slide this block over. This 4 block becomes a 5. And this 3 block becomes a ruck 2 and a bis and tris. We just create space. There's no urgency to cram all this stuff in, guys, because you guys have so much you need to work on. We all do, right? And in baseball, we don't really see this in sport because we grew up doing all these drills and hitting off a tee and all these running drills. And then we go to the game and it doesn't seem so overwhelming practice because we've been practicing for a long time. But in this space, guys, if we've never practiced this in terms of building a conjugate, it can be a little bit overwhelming, okay? So don't get yourself overwhelmed, right? Don't try to create the most perfect program right out of the gate. The perfect program is the one that you can get in, work through it, make some mistakes, make some tweaks, change this here. Well, I got to move this over to here because this is your life, guys. I don't know what your Monday, Tuesday, Friday, week after week is. I don't know what this is. But we know we need to have good training blocks. That's why day 1 is not Monday, day 2 is not Tuesday. They're just blocks. So if life gets the best of us, we just slide that block over, open that one up, or drop something in that accommodates our training better that day. Okay. That's a mouthful, guys. Be patient with this. Be patient with yourself. And like I said, don't try to create the perfect program. Create a good program. Work through it. And when you work through it, you're going to continue to improve it, right? With good notes, good awareness, and good training. So stay tuned. Lots more to come.